working on this music cabinet. It's super, super pretty. This color, it's hard to tell in this video. It's actually hard to tell in any photos, but I'm using Frenchic's limited edition After Midnight color. This is, I don't think they're going to keep it. I hope they do, because it's one of my newfound favorite colors. You're not really going to be able to see that, but it's like this deep blue with a touch of teal. It's really like the perfect color. I'm actually thinking about doing my kitchen cabinets. So what I'm doing, I'm using the Elegance and Flowers transfer. I did do a sneak peek of the door with this transfer, and I'm going to add just a touch of it to the sides here, and then I'm going to put my Harlequin underneath it. I already did the other side and it looks really good. I love it. So I'm going to do this other side and do it on camera so that you guys can see how I do it. Now this transfer, this is the large one. This is 6 sheets, 48 by 35. So you can get numerous projects out of this one transfer for sure. So it's one of the big ones. First, we do the transfer. By now, you guys probably already know how to put the transfers on, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this one real quick, show you. So now this part is the front of my this is the front of my cabinet. So what I like to do is have this going off the back. Actually, what I forgot to do first, just something you should always do, is tape off any sections that you don't want the transfer to stick to. You can also use wax, but I find it easier to just use some tape. So now on this piece here, the molding piece that goes down to the leg, I don't want anything there. So put the tape on there. I'm gonna keep it going because I don't want the gold from the Harlequin pattern there either, or on the other side. Now the transfer is not going to reach to this side, so I'm not worried about the transfer. It's just going to be the stencil design that I don't want to have come onto this piece here. Okay. It's hard to see from this angle. Okay. So now I'm taped off. Back to this. So what I'm going to do is have it so that the transfer is like coming out of the corner here. So you're going to press it down. And remember, these are super sticky. So just hover it over the space until you know where you want it to go. And then you can press down. I like to make sure that I get it like in those corners there, and press down the whole thing. Remember your transfers, they come with this tool. It's a great tool. It totally works. But for me and my hands, I just find the transfer tool to be more comfortable. So you're just going to go over the whole thing. Apply a good amount of pressure. Make sure you get those creases well. And I find usually like the edges of the transfers is what will not stick as easily. So I like to just really focus on these edges. Okay, I'm going to start at one end and slowly just peel up. Sometimes where it's like folded there, it's a little bit more difficult to get up. Okay. So you see how the transfer is still like up here and it's on the side here. You can't really see that too well, but once I take the tape off, it'll come right off on that edge. You can also, sometimes what I'll do is I'll take razor or scissors and I just go along that line there just to make sure that it does not tear that transfer when I take off the tape, because that's the last thing you want, is for the transfer to tear all that work. Now you want to burnish your transfer so you can still kind of see some of the halo in spots. So I use Frenchic's wax. This is the clear wax. Comes in clear, browning, defining, which is a gray, and white wax. Their wax is super creamy. It's so easy to use. And then I get these little sponges off of Amazon. Love it. They work great for old top coats. I even use it with my polys. So what you're going to do is put the little bit of wax on and just go over the transfer, because I'm still going to do my stencil. So I don't want to wax the whole thing. I'm just going to do it over my transfer so that way I can really burnish these edges here. And you're going to apply that pressure and just really go over it. And now if you don't want to use wax and you're going to use a top coat, that's fine too. Just use a dry rag and go over the transfer to burnish it. And then you'll see that halo disappear as you burnish it onto the piece. It's almost like it melts into the piece. It's beautiful. Okay. And even like with the Frenchic wax, I don't buff it. It's perfect. It's exactly what I want. So I don't worry about buffing it. So it's just apply it and then that's it, you're done. Okay, so now that part is finished. Now we're going to do the stencil. Okay. So you're going to grab your tape again once you have it in place. Now I usually start at the bottom and I'll find out like where I want to start at the bottom, but I'll start up here so that way you guys can see it. See how I do the top, because that's more important than the beginning. So you just want to make sure that the pattern is even on both sides. So you say I'm going to have like half and half. Move it up a little bit here. And then you're going to tape it into place. Now with the edges here, like when it's sticking up, because it's not completely flat, you're going to want to really press down your stencil. On the sides, when you're doing your tape, just press it down so that way it's in place. And now with this design, like what I'm doing, it's going to be a more distressed look. So it doesn't have to be perfect, because that's not what I'm going for. I'm not going for a absolute perfect design here. So once you have it taped into place, you're going to grab your Frenchie. Now this is a mixture of gold Frensheen and finishing coat. Now I did add just a touch of silver Frensheen too, because for me the gold alone is just a little bit too brassy. So I add just a touch of silver. So for, say, you know, every tablespoon of gold Frensheen, you do like a, I don't know, a 1/16 of a tablespoon of silver. It's really just a pinch. So for this, you want your gold glaze basically to be thicker. You don't want it to be really liquidy, because I want there to be texture to it. It's going to look almost like gold leaf, or the gold leaf flakes, how you get that texture. So you mix it with your water-based, the powder, the Frenchie, you mix it with your water-based top coat. I use finishing coat from Frenchic too. And you're just going to mix it until you get a somewhat thick of a glaze. And then you're going to grab just a regular detail brush. I don't use anything fancy. I don't use a stencil brush. It's just a fluffy little detailed brush. That's all. And then you're just going to have at it and do your stenciling. So what I do is I do put a good amount on my brush. This isn't like normal stenciling. I load the brush pretty well, and then I go in an up and down motion, just like your stenciling, but I let it like leave those little mountains, I guess you would say, with the medium. It just adds texture, and you don't fill in the whole thing. I will bring you guys down closer once I do this section, so that way you guys can really see that texture to it. And you just do the whole thing. Now when you come over here to these edges, you need to really press down that stencil in order to get the right design. And again, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to bleed. You're not going to get those perfect lines. It's just not going to happen when you're using this much of the paint on your brush. But it's okay. That's what I want. I don't want it to look perfect. And again, you're not going to worry about filling in the whole thing. Leave some spots where you see the paint underneath it. That's how you're going to get that distressed look. Harlequin is one of my favorite designs. I've definitely used it quite a few times. I love the way it looks. Okay. Make sure that your tape is good and that it is secure, because you don't want to get any on these molding parts of your piece, or you know, in any of those sections where you really don't want any. And then if it bleeds through a lot, you can always go back and cover it up with your base color. If it's like, you know, if it bleeds more than what you like. So for the top, for this last row, you're going to come up and just kind of go with the flowers. You don't want to have a flat across line. And for this one, I'm going to do just that little bit here. And now as it's drying, I'm going to go back and really add to this texture. So you're just going to go up and down over it again. And then you can do this as many times as you want. Usually I'll do it a couple of times as it's drying, because it just really adds that texture, which is what I'm looking for with this look. And there's really, like, you know, no wrong or right here. You can make it smooth if you'd rather. Come up around there. Good. Happy with how that looks. And then, you know, even after you remove the stencil, you can still go over it. So now you can see, like right here, it definitely bled a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna go and wipe it away with my finger. So now that's the other good thing here with the Frenchic paint. The Alfresco range, which is what the limited edition is, has a built-in top coat. So it's already a little slick, almost like it was waxed. So it's easy to remove mistakes. Okay. So now I'm happy with that. And now for the bottom part, you're just going to line up your stencil again and just do it all over again and go all the way down until you can't. Let me just wipe off my stencil. Okay. Now let me bring you guys in. Might get a little shaky. That way you can really see that texture that I'm talking about. Now I will go through again and just dab a little bit more because I want just a bit more texture. But you guys pretty much get the gist of this. It's really easy to do. The stencil this one I got off Amazon. Amazon definitely comes in handy with their 2-day shipping, because when I get an idea in my head, I have to do it like right now. I can't wait. So 2-day shipping definitely helps quite a bit. Okay, so that's perfect for me, and I will do the second bit down here. But then other than that, this is the look that I'm going for on this piece. So the other side already is finished and it matches this pretty much. Might have gone up a bit further with the gold, but other than that, it's the same thing on the other side. And then the doors have just the transfer. I might do a mold on the front around the keyhole just to add a little bit more of a focal point on there. But other than that, this piece is almost finished, so I'm excited and I'll be able to show everybody. But thanks for watching, and of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find all of this stuff that I use on my Etsy shop. Links are pretty much everywhere. They're on my Facebook page, they're on my Instagram page, they're on Home Talk, they're everywhere. So everything's on my Etsy shop, and of course guys, any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I thank you for watching.